Awesome, awesome. So how many people played Monopoly when they were younger? Or you may still play it. Okay. Yes, that's me too. I love the game of Monopoly. You know why? Because I love real estate. Love real estate. And being that I love real estate, you know, if you play the game of Monopoly, you try to get the most houses you can and the biggest house on the best street. And so when I was a kid, I used to always play that, and my family, my parents, they used to be like, why are you always gouging up everything? And I said, because when I get grown, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure that I'm a real estate boss. And so I'm still getting there, working there every day, but that's my ultimate goal. Who also knows the person that owns the most land in the United States? Anybody know?
Ted Turner.
Look at you. Well, actually, he is the second most profitable person with real estate in the United States. Ted Turner. John Malone is the first one. And so who has the most real estate around the world? Anybody know that? Queen Elizabeth.
Oh, really?
She owns 6.6 billion
Wow.
Land. So I found that very interesting because, you know, one thing that I know when I grew up, my family didn't teach us about real estate. Yeah, we had a house or whatever, but we were renting until after we moved out the ghetto. Because prior to that, we were living in projects. And then from there, we moved into a house, and I thought it was ours. It was a prefab home in East St. Louis, Illinois, because I'm born and raised in East St. Louis. And it was this nice house because we moved from the projects to this house. So it was very, very comforting to us. And one thing that I always share when I sell a home to a client and help them build a home is it's not about the four walls. It's about you making it a home. Because see, anybody can live in four walls. It's what you do inside that place that makes it count. So today I'm going to share with you, and the reason why I'm sharing this with you, I was helping a client today go through the process of trying to see if she wanted to build a home, or if she wanted to rent a home, or if she wanted to just buy an existing home. And so we started speaking about the different advantages of it, and she said, well, nobody in my family has ever owned a home. And I could relate to that, as I mentioned earlier, because when I was little, we didn't even really own it, and I thought we did. We were in that house. And so she said, so I don't know what to do. I don't know if I make enough money. I'm afraid. And I said, well, let's stop this right now, because see, some things in life, generational, we have to quit. And we have to say it's not going to happen anymore. And so I said, well, we're going to make this position in your year of 2018, and we're going to make sure you're the first homeowner in your family so that you can leave a legacy for your kids. Because you can't give your landlord already getting paid for it. Your landlord can't pass your house on to your kids. Okay, and nor can the apartment complex. So we started going into some different details and things. And so I started talking to her about it. So she said, well, I've been driving around, which most clients, I have a fellow realtor in here, they tell us they've been driving around. And I'm like, okay, well, that's good. At least you're looking for what you like. And I said, where have you been driving? Oh, I've been out in Chesterfield, you know, Ladue and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay. You know, no judgment whatsoever. So I said, okay, well, have you been pre-approved? No, she had not. And so the first thing that I always recommend to my clients, when you are in the process of deciding to buy a home, you got to get pre-approved. Because you're driving around a neighborhood, you don't know how much you can afford. And you may be somewhere where you can afford, which I didn't know if she could or could not. But for her to be there and not be pre-approved, she's wasting her time. And I want you to be happy and not disappointed. And so she said, no, I had not. So I have a collection of people that I refer them to, and I had given her 3 people to call. And so she called all 3 of them, ended up picking up one that she liked, and come to find out, true enough, she was driving around neighborhoods that she could not afford. And so I hated to disappoint her, because she was like, I want 5-car garage, I want a 8-bedroom house, I want 3 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms, and I want a basement completely finished, and I want like around about 8,000 square feet. And I said, wow. I said, that's a beautiful first-time home, and nobody in your family has ever owned a home. And I said, but you know what? I said, I'm not a dream thief, so I'm not going to steal that dream for you. So we're gonna work there, but we got to get somewhere before we can get there. Okay? And so she was like, really? And I said, yeah. She said, well, nobody ever broke it down to me. So we started going through the dynamics and stuff. And I said, the second thing that you need to do is that you need to hire me. Okay? So you driving around looking at houses for sale by owner, which I recommend nobody ever buys without the representation of a licensed agent for the simple reason, most of the time for sale by owners, they're not licensed agents. They have no idea about the real estate law. You could be getting yourself in much more trouble, especially as a first-time home buyer buying for sale by owner. Now, if you got representation like myself or my colleague over there as far as real estate, then that's good. But don't go by yourself. Hire a licensed realtor. If you're going to build a home, make sure you have a realtor too. Why? Because that lady in that office there, she's working for that builder. And I am an example of that, because when I built my home, I was a licensed real estate agent at that time, and now I'm a licensed broker. At that time, as a licensed realtor, I thought I knew what I was doing. I'm going up in there, putting on things, all that kind of stuff, what I want this and want that. Come to find out, I missed a whole lot of stuff. That if I had, because it was my first time working with myself as a licensed agent building a new home, that I wish I would have took another agent with me, I didn't get shingles on my house. And so now, we have bees up there. And my husband like, why you missed that? You an agent. I said, well, I was fresh at that time. And he said, well, why you didn't bring a professional? That's why it's so important to hire a realtor, because you can miss out on important things if you do not. The second thing that I want you to be mindful of is that builders are all about the money. Don't get it twisted. It's a business. They want you to buy everything that you possibly can to the toppest and the highest of your budget. Okay, so be sure that you have somebody with you to reassure you that you don't need all that. Then I'm going to throw in here, don't always get the builder's grade. That's something we missed out on too. We got a couple of builder grade items, and they were lower grade items. They said, oh, these are amazing things. We get in there and start shifting and cracking and all that stuff. So you had to replace it within the next 2 years. And I wanted some new stuff anyway, because you know you should be upgrading your house consistently, and I'll get to that later. But don't settle for the builder grade. Go out and find something comparable to what they have that you can afford. And they'll have a limited supply. When I built my home, no other bricks like mine were in that neighborhood. After I built my home, about 5, 6 other houses started getting that brick too. Why? Because I'm different. I didn't want to look like everybody else. I wanted my house different. And so when I started seeing everybody else with that brick, I said, look, I'm a trendsetter. You know, so it was really good for that effect, because I brought different change to that neighborhood. So you don't want to go way out the neighborhood aspect. You want to kind of be consistent. But if you want yours something different, do that. Because a lot of times you drive through neighborhoods and they look like cookie cutter houses. You know, and when you get ready to sell your house, the unfortunate thing is your house don't look like everybody else's. And that's why you have to distinguish it and make it look different. Check out the builder before you build with them, because a lot of times they have lawsuits against them. You know, they have not been settled. And so I always recommend to my client, if you don't look into the builder, you could be a part of that lawsuit too. Not all, but some. Number 3, you want to choose comparable upgrades with your neighbors. Now, we started talking and stuff, and I told you she wanted this big old huge house and all this extra stuff in it and things of that nature. And I said, well, you know what? When you get ready to sell your house, you might not get what you're asking for because you're putting too many expensive things in there. That does not compare with the neighborhood. So keep that in mind too, even in your existing home. Don't over-update your house if it's not comparable with the neighborhood, because you can end up eating that money yourself. The next thing that I want you to be mindful of is that you have to understand your warranty. Now, this is something she was just all over the page for. She was like, warranty? I said, yes, when you're building a home like you buying a TV, you're going to get a warranty. But they give it to you as the builder, and it typically ranges anywhere from 1 to 5 to 10 years. And you have to pay attention to that, because see, I'm one of those kind of people, I'm going to call you if something's wrong. I'm going to make sure I'm on the phone with you. I'm going to bug you like crazy. I'm going to be at your office and everything until you get there to take care of the problem. And so that's why warranty is important. And when I was explaining it to her, she was like, well, do I have to pay for that? Typically with the builder, you don't. But if you're buying an existing home, majority of the time, either the seller will pay for it or they'll tell you you have to pay for it. But it's good to get one, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. The 4th thing that I want you to be mindful of is that the 5th thing is do a home inspection. I cannot overstate this enough. And the reason why I say that is I don't work with nobody. If you tell me you don't want no home inspection, you're going to sign a waiver with me. The reason being is because you're going to get in that home, the roof going to shift, the house going to shift, something going to break, crack, the furnace is going to go out, something going to happen. And the thing is if you have a home inspection, all those things you can know in advance prior to going in. Take a licensed person with you or a contractor that knows what they're doing. I don't typically go with my buyers because it's a conflict of interest, and I advise my agents not to go as well. But I want you to go and take your husband, father, whoever with you so that they can see and have an extra pair of eyes. But get a home inspection. It's an additional cost to the home buying process, so you must save money for that. Back in the day, I used to get people used to get home inspections for like $100. We called somebody the other day, she talking about $700. I was like, let's go, y'all keep going up and up and up. But the status of having that is $700 is much cheaper than what you can spend later on if the roof is bad or anything of that nature. The sixth thing I want to share with you is that you need to talk to current residents in the neighborhood. Again, I cannot stress this enough. You are building one particular area in the north area. There's been a lot of issues in that area. And again, if you don't research, you will never know these things. It's not always your realtor's responsibility. It's yours. You're the one spending the money and getting a loan, or if you're paying cash, which I very seldom have happen unless you're an investor. But if you're getting a loan, you need to make sure that you look in the area for issues that have occurred there and find out what's going on. Whether it's a child molester in the area, you need to find those things out. You have access to that by going online. And it's so key and so important because once you get in the house and you sign that mortgage document, it's too late. It's too late to go back and say, oh, I don't want this house no more. I want to give it back to you. And when we're talking about forbearance, you know, that's what we hear a lot all the time in the field of real estate. Forbearing your mortgage loan, forbearing school loans and things of that nature, getting mortgage loan qualified. And so I always try to educate my clients because people I come in contact with, majority of them have never had the experience of owning a home. And then the seventh thing I want to share with you is title. Make sure you get a clear title, and that's why it's important to have an agent. Because if you have an agent, they're going to already send your stuff to the title company to get done. Whereas if you're working with that for sale by owner, they don't want nothing about no title. They're just going to shift it and change it and switch it, and you may not be on title. You want to be on title, because what does that say? It says that you own the home. You in the bank. You in the bank own the home. So you don't get clear title until the mortgage company at the end send you that document to say, Michelle, this is your home. And so I like to say I'm in a partnership, you know, with the bank, and that's why it's important. And I also like to tell people that you need to make sure that communication is clear, clean, effective. Because if you're not communicating with your mortgage company, they're going to think you don't care. And that's with anything in life. Have open communication. If you can't pay it at that time, they work with you. Forbearance, they will work with you. I've been in that state before. So I understand that sometimes things happen in life, and they do too. And now all the shifty lenders pretty much have been subsided, and they don't necessarily work out there, but there's still some. So again, you have to be careful. But there are so many different things and so many facets of buying a home, and that's why it's important to get with somebody that's skilled, that's educated, and no dismissing of people that are just getting the business, but somebody that's been around a minute, or somebody that has a mentor or something to help them, because once you sign your name on that dotted line, it's a really, really scary process that you have to deal with for 30 years, 15 years, or however long you sign your mortgage for. And so I want to leave you with a couple of factors in regards to real estate to just make you aware that real estate, they're not making any more land, okay? And so if you're going to invest in something, you know, I listen to Robert Kiyosaki all the time. He's one of my real estate, I ain't never met him, but I consider him a mentor, being that he talks about and speaks about real estate all the time. But he says that real estate is not even an asset for you. You know, a lot of people always think that their home is their asset. And as I've started to invest in property, I've been an investor for about 25 years in the business of real estate for that length of time. And I've learned that it's not. But I learned it's a piece of property that I can hold that will enable me to buy more and do what I want to do. And then if I'm stuck in the rut, I can borrow against my house instead of going to a bank. And so that's why I think it's so important to own a home. I think everybody, if you're going to be within your locale for at least 7 years, it's important to own a home for the simple reason that it's yours. You can paint the walls, tear it up, whatever you want to do, it's yours. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.